Welcome back to Saturday Hashmarks. My name is Brian, also known as Trojan Bias on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube. Joined here by Nick. Nick, we usually record on Sundays. We were both busy on Sunday and Monday, so we're recording on Tuesday, which gives us a hidden benefit. We did not do this on purpose, but we now have the college football playoff rankings out. We are going to start with that. And I've been thinking about the best way to do it. I think we're going to do it the same way that the college football playoff show happens. We're going to name the top. We're just going to go from top up. We're going to start off with 5. If you have thoughts after those top 5, so we'll just do groups of 5. So at 25, we got Arizona State. 24, we got Tulane. 23, Houston. 22, Mizzou. And 21, Illinois. So we finally got another group of 5 school, and we notoriously did not have a group of 5 school in the first rankings. Last week we had USF, who got beat by the Sailors, got beat by Navy, and Tulane jumps in. We hat off for service academies. We're all about service academies here. Those are really, Illinois obviously back in it. Mizzou hanging on it at 22. They're 7-3. Haven't had the best season. They started off hot. Drop a game to Vanderbilt, dropped a game to Alabama. So obviously, they're kind of hanging around. I don't have a ton of thoughts on this grouping, to be honest.
No, my thing, besides Tulane, I'd rather see North Texas or JMU as the group of 5 school. But, I'm a big mess-to-maker guy. He's a dog at quarterback. Some Power 4 school is going to pay him a lot of money this offseason. Or JMU. Granted, Tulane is probably the better of those 3 teams, but I just want to see Mestamaker in it, or JMU because of PFT.
Gotta love PFT. And no, yeah. It's one of those, I think, where you're looking at like who's probably the best team and who has the best resume, because JMU they only have 1 loss on the year. And that loss was to Louisville early in the season. They're undefeated in group of 5 play. Tulane is probably the better team. They do have their 2 losses, but they're probably the better team. So I think you're looking at it, Tulane lost to Ole Miss, obviously, and then they had and I just got rid of their schedule.
They lost to UTSA by like 22 points or something like that.
So it kind of comes down, it comes down to, do you look at who the best team is versus who has the best resume? I don't think we have a clear-cut answer in the college football playoff era on that, to be honest, although I think you could make an argument either way on that, especially after this week, and we'll get into some ones that we may have some problems with, talking about best teams versus resumes. So, I'm fine with Tulane there. I totally see North Texas or JMU getting in there, but I'm fine with Tulane. Next 5, we got Tennessee, Virginia, Michigan hanging in there. Texas, the big one. They dropped from 7th to 17th. That is 10 spots, if you can't do the math on that.
They dropped from 10 to, my thing says 10 to
17. 10 to 17. Got that backwards. That's 7 spots. 7 spots, my bad. And then, obviously had a 25 point loss to Georgia. And then Georgia Tech at 16 and USC at 15. Now, that was 16.
Yeah, you added USC, and we'll mention them twice.
We'll mention them twice.
I'm fine with Tennessee being there. Tennessee, Texas, both of those teams are out of contention for the playoff with those 3 losses. Georgia Tech, they keep getting screwed. I don't know why they're ranked 16th when you have Miami, and ranking Miami ahead of them. I'll also get into that more when we talk about it. But it's just the fact that Miami's sitting 5th in the ACC right now or whatever, and you have Georgia Tech, who's been consistently at the top of the ACC all year, and they're just getting, I can't even think of the word. They're disrespected by the committee, and they should be higher than 16. I think they should be 13, and Miami should be 16. Just the sole fact of 9-1 with the ACC schedule, and then Miami's 8-2 with an ACC schedule. Granted, Miami has played Notre Dame, but still, I think that 9-1 is better than 8-2, and 5-1 in conference is better than 4-2. And at the end of the day, if Georgia Tech wins out and Miami wins out, but Miami doesn't make the ACC championship game, there should be no way, shape, or form that Miami is talked about as a playoff team if they do not make the conference championship game. And I think it's very highly unlikely that they do.
I don't think. Okay, so I'm with you that Georgia Tech should be ranked higher. I really am. I think Georgia Tech, hands down, the favorite to win the ACC, which means they're going to get an auto bid. So I don't get why you're ranking them under a team there. They're going to get the auto bid if they take care of business. I do have a problem with Miami, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit, or I should say a problem that involves Miami. My big thing on here with this is one. Well, I should say I have two. Georgia Tech should be higher than 16. I'm agreeing with you there. My other thing is that Michigan should probably be higher than Texas. I mean, we're talking a few spots here, or a spot here. Reason why, though, is technically Michigan can still win the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And Texas cannot win the SEC. That's my
All
biggest
Michigan has to
biggest
do
thing.
is beat Ohio State and they're in, right?
So I think it goes down to who wins USC Oregon. Because if USC beats Oregon, USC has the head-to-head over Michigan. They go to...
if Oregon beats USC and then Michigan beats Ohio State, we would have Michigan versus Indiana, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Ah,
so that's
crazy.
not even that crazy of a theory, of like a thing
Oregon's
either.
favored, and Michigan, Ohio State's always close.
Yeah, that's not that crazy of a thing to happen. So I don't like them being ranked 18th, and especially because Texas lost to who is now ranked 4. So, spoiler alert. They move them down that far just to get them out of the way, and say they're not going to make the playoffs. But like, they beat Vanderbilt, so they should definitely be ranked higher there. So they're getting them out of the way, saying you're not contending for an SEC title. Get out of here. You're still ranked, but get out of here.
Yeah, they took.
Why are they putting them above Michigan? Yeah, why are they putting them against Michigan when Michigan can still win? Has a chance to win the Big Ten, and Texas does not have a chance to win the SEC. If you're just moving Texas out, that's my bigger problem there.
I agree.
But yeah, go to the next 5, and I'll give you some time to stew over Miami, Georgia Tech for a minute, and give some more thoughts on that when we get to Miami. So 15, we already named them, USC. Going into a game, they move up a few spots after beating Iowa, which was a gritty, hard win. Iowa is the best 6-4 team I've ever seen play, and 3 of their losses, or 2 of their losses besides the USC one, are by 5 points to Indiana and 2 points to Oregon. So phenomenal Iowa team, phenomenal 6-4 team. USC, great win there in a torrential downpour, might I add. And then 14's Vanderbilt, 13 is Miami, 12 is Utah, 11 is BYU. I think Utah might be the most fraudulent 12 team ever, and I think BYU is possibly the most fraudulent 11 team ever. Now, granted, they could still win the Big 12. They could still go on. They have 1 loss to Texas Tech. They could go and they could beat them in a rematch. You put BYU or Utah in the Big 10 or the SEC. We're going hypotheticals here. They're a middle of the pack team. I think they're a little fraudulent at 11 and 12 respectively. I get BYU being up there because they do have, they will make or should make the conference championship game. But Utah, I just, they have 2 losses to BYU and Texas Tech. Those are 2 very good losses. They're not making the playoffs, so, what are we doing here putting them at 12?
I guess they're kind of just hoping. I think Utah might be a little more fraudulent than BYU.
I agree.
But Utah just played some good football. And they're pretty good. They're a good team.
They have.
I like them against Miami. I would take them against Vanderbilt. I would take them against Michigan, maybe. Probably not Texas, but we're not talking about Texas here because they got 3 losses. Uh, I'd take them over Virginia, Tennessee, uh, Illinois. I would take them over almost 90% of the teams below them. I wouldn't take them above the teams that are in front of them. I think they're properly ranked. But doing those hypotheticals, I think if they were in the Big Ten or the SEC, they wouldn't even be in the top 25. But
Yeah,
that's
no,
just
I
the way
agree
the
with you.
schedule plays out, you know?
I agree with you. Now, we went back and forth on this, trying to figure out an answer for a while earlier before we recorded. Whether you count ranked teams right when you are talking about them. So, say Clemson is not a ranked win anymore because Clemson has proven to be bad. Or if you talk about ranked teams when the game is played. Now, I am under the school of thought that you count it when you're talking about it. Because if we're talking a ranked win, we're not going to say, wow, Georgia Tech, what a good ranked win you have when Clemson
Or
sucks.
or Bama.
Or
Oh, you
Bama.
have a really good ranked loss to Florida State because they were high ranked. No.
Yes. I don't think we should give credit for a ranked win because people were wrong on a team. So
Yeah.
I am going off of that, which means I think Vanderbilt is also overranked. They only have 2 losses or 3 losses. 2 losses?
1 and 2. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
In the
1 and
ranked
2
games.
in ranked matchups. Now there is another team that is 1 and 2 in ranked matchups that we will get into. This is a little bit of a teaser, but a 1 and 2 in ranked matchup games, probably a little overranked. Utah's 1 and 1 in ranked matchups. And then exactly what you said, let's go back to it. Miami should not be 13. Miami doesn't have a chance to win the
They
ACC.
do have a chance to win the ACC. They just need a lot of things to happen.
Okay. They are
They
not
need-
officially eliminated.
Yeah.
Georgia Tech is not losing their next ACC
They
game.
They need Virginia Tech to beat Virginia. I don't see that happening.
Also not happening. Also not happening for a number of reasons that we will talk about. Virginia Tech, they're not winning that game. And then I think Georgia Tech actually would have a shot to beat Miami too. It's not like they get into the conference championship game and they dog walk Georgia Tech. They're not dog walking Georgia Tech. So like they have a shot theoretically. Realistically, they do not.
They need
and that's
SMU
why
to lose too, and
and that's why I'm with you 100%. Miami overranked at 13.
yeah. I mean, from the committee's perspective, I don't get why. Like just why? Like, why not just put them at? Like they've done it. They showed it with every other team. Ohio State, their highest ranked team, is winning the Big Ten. A&M is winning the SEC. You have Texas Tech, who's the highest ranked Big 12 team, winning. Who's been leading the Big 12 all year too, as the winner. You have a team who hasn't been in the top 2 in their conference for the last few weeks as the conference champion, who needs 4 teams to lose in front of them for them to have a chance to even make the goddamn game. It drives me insane.
I will tell you exactly what it is, and it's this little logo here.
It's the logo.
This little U logo on the side of their helmet. That is what it is. They are giving, yes, and we'll get into that. And in that case, Miami's getting screwed. We'll get into that in a minute. Miami is getting big name recognition, the benefit of the doubt. They are getting floated up because they are the University of Miami. They are the U.
They have Carson Beck.
And they have Carson Beck and Mario Cristobal and all these guys, and they're good, but they haven't shown it on the field. Georgia Tech is leading the ACC. I'm gonna make a statement right now, going back to whether Miami can win the conference championship or not, and that is if Miami wins the conference championship, I am getting the lyrics from Greg Olson's, aka G-Reg's verse from the Seventh Floor Crew song tattooed on my thigh.
Good God.
Full verse. That is how confident I am that Miami isn't going to win the ACC. Or maybe I think they will win it and I just want that tattooed on me and I want an excuse to do it. Yeah. We'll find out. We'll see what happens. I will get that tattooed on my thigh if that happens. But we spent a lot of time. Let's go to the next grouping here. Starting off, we got with a shocker. Alabama at 10. moving down 6 spots because of a close loss to Oklahoma. Notre Dame at 9, Oklahoma moving up to 8, Oregon at 7, Ole Miss at 6. So yeah, Alabama getting moved down quite a bit. I do like that they kind of met in the middle.
Yeah, I mean,
You're not a fan of
they
that?
feel like they got punished a little bit too much.
They
Uh,
did, but when you look
but
at it and you go, okay, Oklahoma
they should just be
is the
9. Notre
highest
Dame should
ranked,
be 8. Yeah, or Notre Dame should be 10.
should be
Sorry,
10.
Bama should be 9. That's my gripe with it. Uh, I'm fine with sliding Oregon up because Bama lost, and Ole Miss and Texas, and like all the teams sliding up. But
Yeah.
I mean, you could maybe argue Oregon over Oklahoma over Oregon, but it's
I
not.
you could just
It's
because
not
Oregon's had
something
a
worth losing
yeah
sleep
Oregon's had
over.
a weak schedule. Oklahoma's 2 losses came with, or
And
one of their
Mateer being
losses
hurt.
came with Mateer being like his first game back and was terrible, and then he wasn't 100% for a while. It looked like so. I mean, you could, again, not worth losing sleep over. What is worth losing sleep over, though, is Notre Dame at 9 and Miami at 13. Now, I just said Miami's overranked, but they also should be ranked above Notre Dame, right?
They
Both of
beat
these
Notre Dame.
teams are 8-2, and you're going, oh, well, Notre Dame has 2 better losses, but one of those losses was to Miami. Like, why are we even playing games at this point? What rankings are, like, on a fundamental level, what rankings are them saying, okay, if we'll use the same, if Ole Miss played Oregon, Ole Miss would win. If Oregon played Oklahoma, Oregon would win. If Oklahoma played Notre Dame, Oklahoma would win. If Notre Dame played Miami, wait, we saw that game play out. They played that game, and Notre Dame did not win that game.
Yep.
So why are they above them? You know, like, if you're gonna say, oh well, Miami shouldn't have lost those 2 games, then Notre Dame shouldn't have lost to Miami. That one I'm getting I've gotten fired up about, and I've seen all the people on Twitter, all the Notre Dame fans saying, oh well, they have better losses and this and that, and they have a head-to-head matchup. Like, at what point do you start to care about head-to-head matchups? Like, let's say hypothetically, Oklahoma with 2 losses gets into the national championship game against an undefeated Ohio State. And then Oklahoma beats them. Do you go, well, you know what though? Like, Ohio State only has 1 loss, Oklahoma has 2 losses, and it's a better loss. Like, no, obviously not. We're not doing that.
Yep.
No one's doing that. So
I agree.
that's the same thing that's happening here, just in less meaningful games. And I'm sorry, that game, it was a game played. It should count. All right, we both got our very fiery takes out. Feel a lot better now. Got it off my chest. Final 5 then. We're gonna go final 5 rankings here. Number 5, we got Texas Tech. That is the first team that does not have a bye, or the last team, I should say, that doesn't have a bye. The first team that doesn't have a bye, however you want to say that. Texas Tech right now would be scheduled to play in the first round play-in games, on-campus games, whatever you want to call them. 10-1, obviously, one bad loss with a backup quarterback. Georgia moves up to 4, A&M to 3, Indiana to 2, and Ohio State to 1. I'm gonna be honest, I actually think they got this pretty darn right. Now, I think you could make the argument that A&M should be over Indiana. You know, a few weeks ago, Indiana struggled real bad against Penn State. Then A&M comes and struggles against South Carolina and forgot that they were playing a football game for the first half, and then played really, really well in the second half. So I kind of, don't think that it's worth losing sleep over it. I don't think either argument's necessarily wrong. This week, I'm fine with it. I like Georgia being a few spots above Ole Miss because they beat them.
I mean, I think this is fine right now, but at the end of the day, when Tech wins the Big 12, I think they deserve to be the 4th seed.
They should be moved up. Yeah, no, I agree with that. If you have Ohio State, A&M, and Texas Tech all winning their conferences, they should all be the 1, 2, 3 seed, or within that top, 1, 2, and 4, whatever you want to call it. They should all be in that top, bye week people, teams, whatever you want to call it. So you're not upset at all by Georgia being at 4?
Not upset about it. I don't think they're at the fourth best team in college football. I think they're somewhere between fourth and sixth. Uh, but I think that's solely because of the defense and Kirby Smart. The offense isn't that great. They can do enough. They do enough because they have such good defense.
Typical. I mean, was it Benson Stennett won
Stetson
a
Bennett.
champion? Stenson Bennett. Dude, I cannot remember which one is his first name ever. Stenson
Uh,
Bennett. Jake Fromm. A couple guys that Carson Beck aren't great quarterbacks. Didn't play great. The defense got him. So all this movement in the college football playoff is mainly caused by one result that happened over the weekend, and that is Alabama got upset by Oklahoma 23-1. Now, couple of things. Alabama still controls their path to the conference championship game. It was their first loss, but they need to beat Auburn. If they lose to Auburn, they will not make it. And with that, that Auburn game is going to be a good game. All right, like I know Auburn isn't the greatest team, but they've kept it close with a lot of teams. And it's a night game in Jordan Hare, and it's the Iron Bowl. All right, that's a good game.
Yeah. I mean, Bama, going back to the game against OU, the pick six kind of cost them. I mean, Ty Simpson was good, like actually pretty good besides that pick six, but that pick six cost them the game. Bama's defense played well. They beat themselves. They still don't have a run game. Even with Jam Miller, it's not good. It is not a good run game. And it might be the reason that they don't win at all because they're not a complete team. But
yeah, so in my notes, I put I put what, like 7 words here. Actually, some of them were just abbreviated letters. I put Mateer mid, Simpson good, OU's defense, and then interception 6, pick 6. So yeah, 100% agree with you. Mateer kind of mid. But Simpson played very, very good, except for that pick 6, which obviously was the difference between a win and a loss. And OU's defense, though, you do got to give credit to OU's defense. OU's defense is pretty freaking good.
Yeah. I will say that OU beating Bama kind of opens a pathway for 5 teams to get in from the SEC.
I'm with
because
you.
It completely opens the door for Oklahoma to get in now.
100%.
When you have A&M, Georgia, Bama, Ole Miss, and now OU.
And I put, 100% I am with you, which is exactly what I was going to say next, is that BYU kind of screwed by this result. Because if you're looking at it going, okay, we're going to take those 5. You can't take Georgia without taking Bama because Bama beat them. And you can't take Bama without taking OU because OU beat them. So you're kind of taking them, those 3, and then A&M, and then Ole Miss has 1 loss. You kind of got to take 5 from the SEC if they all win out. So there's 5 teams, and then you're going, okay, they're not going to take just 2 from the SEC or from the Big Ten. They're going to take Ohio State, Indiana, their locks, and then you're going to take the winner of Oregon, USC.
Or Michigan if they beat Ohio State. But
that's
chaos scenario.
That's very chaos scenario.
Because then it would probably take a team away from the SEC.
Yeah,
probably kick OU or Bama out.
Yeah,
but we can get into that more.
Yeah, I think
BYU has to win the Big 12. Otherwise,
yeah, because you're looking at those 8, and then you're going to add your ACC champ, you're going to add your Big 12 champ, and you're going to add your Group of 5, and then
there's only one more.
There's only one more, and it's like, like
not
that.
BYU.
Probably not BYU. Yeah, probably not BYU. Probably like Notre Dame or Miami, right? Like, and probably, in all honesty, Notre Dame. As much as I hate them, probably Notre Dame. So like, BYU probably is screwed if they don't win. They're probably going to take 1 from the ACC, possibly 2 if Miami can get in. Notre Dame loses a game, and then 1 from the Big 12 now. And you're going to have 8 teams from the SEC and the Big 10. 5 teams, almost 50% of the teams from the SEC because they are cannibalizing each other. Bad.
Yep. That's what they always do.
Could you imagine if this was like a 14 playoff still? Like, you would have to take like Ohio State and then A&M if they win, or Bama if they win. But then, like, I guarantee the other two teams would probably be. It would probably either be 2-2 or 1-3.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it would be insanity. That would be a great, now you think that the discourse on this right now is bad, or the discourse on this is bad. That would be so toxic. Like, college football Twitter would be toxic. It already is kind of toxic, but it would be absolutely toxic.
Yes.
Now then, obviously, USC, big win over Iowa. We talked about this a little bit. 26-21, the few notes that I put in here. Slow start from USC. They went down 11 in the first half. Great second half. Gave up, I don't think they allowed a point all second half.
No.
Shut out in the second half. Oh, 1,000%. In the last 3 second halves, it's just a weird thing to say. In the last 3 second halves, they've allowed 3 points total. They allowed 3 to Nebraska, I believe, and then Northwestern and
Iowa
shut them out in the second half. Totally a second half team. Lynn is making some adjustments, or the players are making some adjustments. And you got to give take your hat off to some of the DBs. Kamari Ramsey obviously went down in the first half. So the guys that came in for him absolutely, played their butts off. Maava played all right, 250-something yards, 1 touchdown. Again, torrential downpour in Southern California this weekend. So, Nick, I know you know. So season tickets headed down to the game, and parts of the 5 were flooded, and probably saw 4 or 5 cars that had just spun off the road. Were sitting in the shoulder. We had hydroplaned a few times, so we turned around. Now, I don't think it was as bad as it was in that. So if you don't know, you probably know if you're listening to this. Between where we live and LA, there's some mountains that you have to go up, and then you come back down into like LA area. 45 minutes or so of that, and that is where the rain was like really, really bad for us. There's this big hill or mountain called the Grapevine you go over. Kind of a dangerous sketch road in the best of conditions. In the rain, we had to actually get escorted, so we came up in the CHPs doing this sort of thing. We get just taken down at like 20 miles an hour down the Grapevine. Think that like it was 7 miles long because of it. So yeah, it was bad. And then it rained all day in LA. It wasn't as hard, but it was rainy. But then the run game, King Miller did really good, and then Mekhi Lemon. Yes. Jacoby Lane said it best when he said Mekhi Lemon just won the Blitnikoff. Mekhi Lemon went absolutely off that game, and not just stat-wise. You look at those catches that he had, completely mossed a dude. Mekhi Lemon. That's all I got to say. Mekhi Lemon.
Yes. That's my number one note is Mekhi Lemon is the best wide receiver in college football. He's insane. Like, Jacoby Lane makes all the crazy catches, gets all the highlights, but Mekhi Lemon makes just as hard of catches. He just makes them with 2 hands. And he's always open. It's actually insane. Piggybacking off what you said, Maava was pretty good. It was a home game, pouring rain, and he threw for double the amount of yards that Dante Moore threw on that defense the week before.
Very true.
Running game was pretty good, especially for being an Iowa defense and Iowa knowing that we're going to run the ball because it is pouring rain. Pass defense was actually pretty bad in the first half, in my opinion. Gronowski almost threw for I think he threw for 100 yards in the first half. But yeah, he didn't do anything in the second half. Run defense, it's still the Achilles heel of the team. They were pretty good. Iowa ran it 31 times at 5.5 yards an attempt. And, 2 handoffs being a first down, that's just not sustainable.
Yeah.
Overall, hey, a win's a win. Just keep winning.
Run defense, yeah, right. Run defense, definitely the Achilles heel of this team, which is kind of crazy because the first, 3 games of the season, 4 games of the season, we were saying it was the passing defense was suspect, and the run defense was good. Totally flipped that. Really, kind of an Illinois game, but Illinois, they didn't run a ton on them.
They threw it on us, but
they threw it on them, but they were RPOs, and after that, Notre Dame gashed us. Northwestern had some good runs. Nebraska was running the ball on us. Iowa runs the ball on us. But with that win, that keeps USC's playoff hopes alive. And like we said earlier, assuming that USC or Oregon after this game beats their rival the next week, the winner here goes. This is a playoff game coming up. We'll talk about that more in picks, but that kept USC's playoff hopes alive. And then also we had over the week we talked about it. Georgia dominates Texas 35-10.
Dominated.
Close game until the fourth, and then Willis came off for Texas a little bit. Georgia had that surprise onside kick. Now I wrote this. I wrote this. Texas eliminated from college football playoff contention. I think that's very clear now with the rankings. Arch, I would say, is back-ish. I don't think he's as back as we were saying last week, but he's not playing like he was at the start of the year. That's for sure.
He didn't play terrible.
A lot better.
He didn't play terrible.
Yeah, didn't play terrible. Not great. Not terrible.
It's just Georgia defense. It's just
Georgia
defense
does have a
is
good
so
defense.
damn good.
Yes.
Especially their run defense.
I feel like this.
Go ahead.
I feel like this Texas team is kind of too late this year, but trending in the right direction compared to what they were last year. I think Arch next year will actually be pretty solid. Sucked at the beginning of the year, and he's getting his feet back under him.
Yeah, I mean, and they need a run game. I have it written down here. Arch was mid, but they couldn't run the ball. So they just can't get anything going. Not counting Arch's rushes and negative yardage, they had 12 carries as a team. 12 carries. That's it. 40 yards.
Yeah. No, they're running game. Yeah. Georgia's defense is insanely good, and they could not get the ball moving. And when you have a guy that's like somewhat back, but like there's still question marks, and he's got to win the game, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough. Another game this week. Another big game this week, actually. This is one of those, I think, sneaky good games because one of these teams' record is terrible, but they've kept it close with a lot of teams, and
every single game has been like a pretty good game.
Yeah, like this team. If you're looking for pure just football entertainment, watch this team play, and that's Ole Miss beating Florida. Florida obviously being the team that keeps things close. I mean, they were up on Georgia when they played Georgia. Ole Miss beats them.
Or did they beat Texas? They
beat Texas.
Right?
Yeah, they ended up beating Texas. Ole Miss beats Florida 34-24. Now, I personally have dubbed this the battle for Lane Kiffin, just because of everything that's going on with Lane Kiffin rumors, and then these two teams play each other. And I thought that was funny. Ole Miss obviously still in the playoffs right now, and really they have nobody this week, and then Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. Now, granted, it's a rivalry game the day after Thanksgiving. But it should be a win for them, so they should be in the playoffs.
Yeah, I have it written down here. My first thing is could have been a bigger win for Ole Miss.
Could have been a bigger win.
538 yards of offense. Chambliss had 301 yards passing and a touchdown, and then I think it's pronounced Kewan Lacey.
I've heard a lot of different ways to pronounce his first name.
I thought I heard Lane call him Kewan, but we'll stick with that. 31 carries, 224 yards, 3 touchdowns. He's freaking tied for the nation's leading carries. I don't know where he sits in yards, but he has 19 touchdowns. Like, they're a different team than what you perceive Lane Kiffin's team as. Like, they will run it down your throat. They play defense. It's a different team. Trinidad is just doing enough. But I think they still have playoff hopes. And, I mean, as long as they beat Mississippi State, they're in. And they should get a first-round home game if they beat Mississippi State.
Yeah, 100%. They should get a first-round home game.
And if they beat Mississippi State and they get a first-round home game and Kiffin leaves, man, I don't think Kiffin should leave, but
I want to talk about that. I did forget to put that on the outline, so I'm kind of just throwing this at you. Here, there's another coach that we are talking about later on.
You want to talk about it then?
Yeah, we'll talk about it then. Talk about the coaching carousel. We'll have a coaching carousel.
I think we only have like one more game or something like that. One
Yeah,
or
we have a
two.
couple, but it's like housekeeping, cleaning
Yeah.
up. Georgia Tech and Michigan, they squeak out wins. Georgia Tech keeps the ACC championship game alive, that lead alive. Michigan really now is just playing to beat Ohio State. That's really what their season is going to come down to. Like I said,
Yeah.
some chaos scenarios happen. Like you said, some chaos scenarios can happen, and Michigan can still technically play for the Big Ten championship. But really, what they're looking forward to is keeping that Michigan, that Ohio State streak alive. So you almost against Northwestern, it wasn't Wrigley Field, it's kind of dope. But
They almost
that
pulled it off.
one, yeah.
I don't
And
know.
then
I think Michigan. It'd be cool to see them in the playoff. It's just not a team that scares me.
they're
Uh,
not, especially with King, not King Miller, Justice Haynes, being out for the year. It's looking like so.
yeah.
Uh, Underwood did not impress me against USC. He has not impressed me in other games that I've watched him play. I don't think he's really he's young. I don't think he's the guy yet though. So that I think would be
Yeah,
cool.
he's
Now
young.
I do absolutely think that Michigan could beat Ohio State though, and
100%.
can't wait for rivalry week. We get that in 2 weeks. We gotta do something special for that somehow. Maybe some sort of live reaction to certain games. I don't know, something for that week. We got to do special. And then Florida State beats Virginia Tech 31-14, and you might be asking, why are we talking about Florida State beating Virginia Tech 31-14? And that's because the coach we want to talk about, we need a segue. James Franklin to Virginia Tech. James Franklin took the Virginia Tech job. Now, I did not realize, because I made this outline thinking that we were recording on Sunday, and it wasn't announced yet. And so I have this actually twice on here. I have James Franklin to Virginia Tech, and then I have the next bullet, James Franklin to Virginia Tech, question mark. So I'm going to combine these here. First, great hire for the Hokies. It makes a ton of
Yes.
sense for Virginia Tech. He is a program rebuilder. We know this. What he did at Penn State when they were pretty bad under sanctions to Bill O'Brien to what they were. They were a perennial 9-3, 10-2 team. They couldn't beat Ohio State and they couldn't beat Michigan. And then they couldn't beat Oregon. Virginia Tech doesn't need to beat Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, Michigan. They just need to win the ACC. And I think the ACC is a great fit for him because there's no Ohio States of the ACC.
Yep.
And then if Virginia Tech, they're not looking to beat Ohio State because that's not what their program's ever been. And so I think it's a phenomenal hire by them. I think he could actually have a lot of success there. He could be a perennial ACC winner, perennial college football playoff contender. Virginia Tech has not had a 10-win season since 2017. Nick, we were in high school. It's 2016 or 2017. We were in high school at that point. So yeah, that's been a long time for James Franklin or for Virginia Tech.
Mm-hmm.
With that, go ahead.
I have it written down. I still have a couple bullet points from the question mark one. I have it written. Makes a lot of sense at Virginia Tech. It just not too big of a spotlight with the school that has great history and fans that have continued to show up even though they're terrible.
Yes, they
they
also
are
the
packing
coolest,
out the stadium still and the coolest entrance.
They have the coolest entrance in college football by far.
And
I'm going to be honest with you. Sometimes if I'm at the gym and I need a little bit of pick me up, I watch that entrance.
Enter Sandman.
Enter Sandman.
But yeah, I mean, it's like if he would have, I think it was linked to Florida State. If he would have went to Florida State, granted it's still in the ACC, just the spotlight would have been so much brighter, and he would have gotten crucified for only going 9-3 every single year. Whereas at Virginia Tech, they'd be totally fine with it because if they go 9-3, they're probably losing one, maybe two non-conference games and only one conference game. So they have a chance at the playoff. And I just think maybe not year one, but year 2, 3, Virginia Tech might be back. They'll probably win 7 games next year.
Yeah, I'm excited for Virginia Tech. I want to see where they're at in 3 years. I'm genuinely excited to watch their what should be a rise for them because like I said, they have the coolest entrance. I do love their entrance. They're
People
packed in the
forget
stadium.
Franklin won 9 games with Vanderbilt
That is
back in like
true. That is true.
2012 or 2013.
That's how he got the
Like,
Penn State job. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. And the Hokies, they're like the maroon and orange. Like it shouldn't work, but their uniforms are cool. Like I'm excited to see this Virginia Tech team in the ACC.
hmm
Now I thought about this and did way too much research to not talk about it. So you said they're linked. He was linked to Florida State. Supposedly he was linked to Florida State, and what was happening was Virginia Tech had been after him for a while. And they kept saying, okay, you have to tell us by this date. But he was waiting to see if Florida State would fire Mike Norvell. And Mike Norvell, they've already come out and said they're sticking with him for the rest of the season. Want to see the season plays out, how the market shakes up. So he kept supposedly just waiting and waiting and waiting. And Virginia Tech finally told him, look, you need to accept the job or we're moving on. And then he accepted the job. Not a great start to their relationship, I'll say that much. But like I said, I think he will be a much happier man at Virginia Tech than he will be in Tallahassee. So I think it's a great hire for them and a great team place to be at for James Franklin. Makes a lot of sense on every front.
Yeah. Bruce Arians he comes on the McAfee show every Tuesday, and was a part of the oversight group that hired Franklin. And he said that Franklin was their number one guy from the jump, and that's what they pushed so hard. I mean, it's probably why that they gave him the ultimatum, but
Yeah.
they're like, just sign the damn contract.
Now, speaking of ultimatums, we talk about another coach, Lane Kiffin. Nick, have you seen what is going on with Lane Kiffin?
A little bit.
So I spent a disproportionately large amount of my day looking at this. It's what happens when you have a desk job and you get all your stuff done, but you got to stay at work. So let's put it all together. So Ole Miss plays, they host Florida on Saturday. On Sunday, Knox Kiffin, who is Lane Kiffin's sophomore son, who is a sophomore, plays at Oxford High School. And
dog starting quarterback, I think.
Oh, he is a dog. He is a dog. And Layla Kiffin is Lane Kiffin's ex-wife, who they have since reconciled and gotten back together, but have not officially remarried. I don't know what the protocol is there. Do you have to get remarried? I don't know. So we'll just say his wife.
Mm-hmm.
We'll call her his wife. We're seen visiting high schools, touring high schools in Gainesville. Now, she is from Gainesville, but no one denied those rumors happening. So it was pretty widely accepted that they were touring areas in Gainesville, or touring high schools in Gainesville, kind of looking at the city. Obviously, she doesn't have to look too hard at the city. She's from there. But then the next day, Nick, I don't know if you're aware of this. You probably are, just being a college football guy. Fans will start tracking flights at a certain point in the season, and that is to see if this coach, where there is rumors, is flying to this city where there are rumors that they are hiring him or want to hire him. And people noticed an odd flight going from Baton Rouge to Oxford, and then Oxford back to Baton Rouge. So people went to the airport. They got a very grainy, faraway picture. You cannot tell that that is anybody at all. But it was supposedly, and it makes sense, the Kiffin family minus Lane that were touring Baton Rouge to see if they would want to live there. And it makes sense. We know that Lane has said in the past that his family is what kept him in Oxford, and that's where he wants to stay. Lane Kiffin, though, being Lane Kiffin, didn't help any of the situation by being active on Twitter during all of this and tweeting things that were, you could take to mean a couple of things. You could take what he was tweeting to mean he's staying or he's leaving. For example, in the press conference, he said something to the effect of, I wish, you knew you were in the good old days when you were in the good old days, which is a reference to The Office and Andy Bernard saying that. It's kind of a famous thing that gets sent around to people. And he tweeted, I'm in the good old days. So it's like, is he saying he's in the good old days and he's enjoying the ride? Is he saying he's in the good old days and wants to stay there? Lots of things. Lane Kiffin being Lane Kiffin. Gotta love it. But then, supposedly, it got reported, but I think On3 was the first to report it. Ole Miss is getting Lane Kiffin an ultimatum saying, you either, by the Egg Bowl, you either extend and tell us you're staying or you're not coaching in the playoffs. Now, they're not going to not have him coach in the playoffs. Let's be honest, dude. You make the playoffs. You're having like a freaking phenomenal year for what your program is. And then you're not firing your coach before the playoffs start. So first of all, not even a good ultimatum by Ole Miss here. Not believable. But then Ole Miss Lane Kiffin went on the Pat McAfee show and said the ultimatum wasn't even true. So no one knows what's going on. Lots of rumors are going around. I'm with you. I don't think he leaves. I don't think he leaves at all. I think this is Lane Kiffin being Lane Kiffin. He is living up to the drama. He is pushing the drama along. He likes the drama. But I don't think he leaves. It makes too much sense for him to stay at Ole Miss, right? Like Ole Miss,
it's like a perfect fit.
Yeah, Ole Miss. Like if he goes 9-3 at LSU, or if he goes 9-3 in Florida, like people start calling for his job. He goes 9-3 at Ole Miss, and that's a heck of a year for Ole Miss. He gets him to the playoffs. He's the guy. It is now Lane Kiffin Field at Vaught Hemingway Stadium, and there's a statue of Lane Kiffin outside the stadium. You win a national championship at LSU, you win a national championship at Florida, you're like the third best head coach to ever coach there, at best. Like Florida, it's like, yeah, like, you know, that Lane Kiffin guy, he won us a few natties, but like we also have Steve Spurrier and Urban Meyer and Tim Tebow played for, like, you're not the guy. And then same thing at LSU, they've had a bunch of, you know, Joe Burrow, they have Coach O, they have all these guys that have won them stuff before. So I don't get why you would leave and go to a place where your job is harder or your job is less secure, I should say.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's more of a spotlight, kind of like James Franklin going to Florida State. It's just like the fans are going to be fine if you have a couple years where you go 9-3, correct, as long as you mix in a playoff appearance here and there.
I think
and compete.
If you even had a year where you went like 4-8, you could say it's a rebuild year, guys. We you know, I don't think he's fired after a 4-8 year. 4-8 year, you don't finish out a 4-8 year at LSU or Florida. You're fired beforehand. So it just doesn't make any sense to do that. And that's kind of really everything we have to say about that. So Nick, let's get into some picks. We're been on here we're kind of running a little long on here. That's all right. This just gives the viewers more time to listen to us. How nice of you guys for sticking around this long. So let's go with some picks now. This might take a little bit of time. It is the annual SEC Cupcake Week. Nick, I am going to ask who you think is winning in the SEC this week. Let me pull their schedule up.
These will be easy.
Dude, you might be overestimating or underestimating some of these teams they're playing. This is a gauntlet of a schedule of a week. Texas A&M. Oh, by the way, I just want to say now, these are all at the SEC opponent. Okay, all of them. Every single one is at an SEC opponent. So we got Samford going into Kyle Field. Texas A&M.
1-10 Sanford.
1-10 Samford. Yeah, and they're not only are they a 1-10, they are a 1-10 FCS team. Now this one I will give them credit. This could be a decent game. Mizzou plays Oklahoma because obviously Oklahoma I don't even know why I don't know who they played out of conference earlier in the season. Mizzou plays Oklahoma, could be actually a tough one. 1-9 Charlotte going into ironically enough Sanford Stadium to take on Georgia. Again, and now you do got to give Georgia credit for scheduling a Group of 5 school and not an FCS school here. Really raising the standards of the SEC
a
here.
1-9 Group of 5 school.
1-9 Group of 5 school, yeah. Eastern Illinois goes into Alabama. This is a 3-8 FCS school, by the way. Auburn scheduling a freaking powerhouse here.
Mercer's good.
Mercer 9-1, put a heck of a season together.
I think they have like stats ranked like top 5 defense in FCS this year or something like that.
Wow, that could actually be a pretty tough game for Auburn. The trap game. I'm going to go out and say that's a trap game.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking forward to the Iron Bowl. Another SEC matchup. There are a few SEC matchups on here. Kentucky and Vanderbilt, that actually won't be a good game, but at least it's an SEC
close.
game. Depends how Pavia plays and how Vanderbilt plays.
Yeah.
Another just terrible SEC SEC matchup at that is Arkansas and Texas.
Texas is gonna. I think Texas will kill them.
I don't think Arkansas will have a pulse by the end of that game. Coastal Carolina takes on South Carolina.
South Carolina's favored by 24, which is about right.
Yeah. Tennessee does go into Florida. Florida has played like crap. They can't win games. Yeah, Florida will definitely win because I said that. That's how that happens. And then we got Western Kentucky, 6-2, 8-2, 6-2, 8-2. The Hilltoppers going into Baton Rouge.
Yeah,
so yeah. So I have one thing to say, and that is that SEC, grow some balls and play hard games in November. This is the second to last week of the regular season, and you're playing Mercer. You're playing Samford. Grow a pair. Make it 9 conference games. They are next year. Should have done it this year. Should have done it 10 years ago. They have been ballless this whole time.
Yeah. No, yeah, it's annoying.
Yeah, now I do actually always been annoying, especially when your other conferences are playing 9-game schedules.
Yep.
So I did actually put Mizzou and OU on here. Now, I don't think that's a great. It could be a close matchup, but I think that OU should win pretty comfortably.
Yeah, I think OU shuts down their run game pretty well, and they beat them by like 10.
Then we have Louisville at SMU. Now, Nick, I did forget to mention this. Nobody wants to win the ACC again. Louisville, I don't know if you saw the end of that Louisville-Clemson game. Oh my goodness, I don't think a team wanted to win. So Louisville was up, I believe, by a point. Or no, they had to have been up by a touchdown. They are up by a touchdown. They get a goal line stop, and then they go 3 and out. Then Clemson goes for it again on 4th and goal. They score, and they're up by 1 point. And that is because they go for 2 to go up by
3.
3. Yeah, 3. Now, the reason they had to do that because Clemson had missed an extra point earlier in the game, by the way. College kickers. Louisville ends up not scoring. Clemson ends up getting a stop.
Hell yeah.
Whoa, he has trouble with the snap happens on the punt, and then Louisville in field goal range to tie it can't gain any yards, and then not only did they not gain any yards, Miller Moss goes about 15 yards backwards while dropping back and gets sacked, and they go out of field goal range. No one wants to win the ACC. Louisville still could have had a shot. I think they were actually still would have gone over Virginia, or they are at least in the hunt.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's Virginia's going to beat Virginia Tech, and then the winner of Georgia Tech Pitt this weekend.
But yeah, no one wants to win the ACC. And yet we have an ACC matchup in Louisville at SMU because everyone knows Texas is the Atlantic Coast. Now, it technically is. SMU is not on the Atlantic Coast, though. I have Louisville winning this game. I do think
I'm
that...
taking SMU.
You're taking SMU? This is one that doesn't shock me. I think Louisville could come out and just look like crap again, but they've shown they can play very well. SMU's in the same boat, though. I'm taking Louisville for the upset. I like Miller Moss as a person, from what I know about him. Don't love him as a quarterback, but I'm taking Louisville Hill. I do have a soft spot for SMU. Their uniforms are pretty nice and their stadium's nice. But I'm gonna take Louisville here. And then we got another big one. We got USC at Oregon. This is the biggest game of the week.
Obviously taking USC, but if they don't stop the run, it could be a long game.
I think this is a winnable game for USC, and I've been saying that. I think Oregon's a little bit overrated. We saw Indiana go into Autzen and beat them. We saw Iowa play them very, very close. Technically, USC had a better win over Iowa than Oregon did. Now, granted, it was at home for USC and was at home for Iowa. I think this is a winnable game, though. I think the passing game for USC is significantly better. I think the running game is just as good. The running defense for USC does scare me. But I'm taking USC, and that's not even, it is a homer take, but it's not my homer take. I think that is genuinely a possibility, a very, more likely than not to happen.
I think so. It's going to have to be, we're going to have to play some good defense.
Absolutely, we'll have to play some good defense. Second biggest game of the day, Pitt at Georgia Tech. Let you start.
So I originally wrote down Pitt, but I thought on it more and I switched to Georgia Tech. I think the game's going to be really close. And I think Georgia Tech kind of squeaks it away with maybe like a field goal win or something like that. Their kicker is nails.
I think Georgia Tech will win. I'm taking Georgia Tech, and that is one because I do think that Georgia Tech is just the better team. But I don't think it'll be super close, and that's because I don't respect Pat Narduzzi, the head coach at Pitt, after his comments of I don't care if we win by or lose to Notre Dame by 100. Any coach that comes out and publicly says I don't care if my team loses by 100, your team is garbage, your culture is ass, and you're a little bitch. So I am taking Georgia Tech all the way. I don't think the culture at Pitt is right, and if the culture's not right, you're not winning games.
I agree.
And then we do have another SEC matchup, and one of the few good SEC matchups, and that's Tennessee at Florida. Florida.
So I have Tennessee written down, but it wouldn't surprise me if Florida upset.
I'm in the same boat as you. Florida obviously has kept it very close with like every team they've played. I don't think they've got blown out. They were leading Georgia. Tennessee though is a very good team. In most years, what they have done this year would put them in like 4th or 5th in the SEC. Unfortunately, the SEC is full of a bunch of one-loss teams this year. So I think Tennessee's actually an underranked team. I have Tennessee winning in a close game. And then we have what is the third biggest game of the day, and that is BYU at Cincinnati. Now, BYU needs to win out to make the college or the conference championship game. Cincy, I think if they beat BYU, would go to the conference championship game. So this is actually a kind of a conference champion semifinal game here.
Yeah, I have BYU. I think their defense is good enough, and I don't think Cincy's defense is good enough to stop Bear.
I'm with you. I think that BYU does it just enough to win in every game but one they have played. They've gone to overtime with some bad teams like Arizona. I think double overtime against Arizona. But I like Bear Bachmeier. That dude is a total fullback that is taking snaps and just putting his head down. Imagine if Jackson Dart got hurt and then put Cam Scatteraboo at quarterback is what Bear Bachmeier reminds me of. Or if you're very not up to date on the NFL, imagine if when Jason Street got hurt, if you put Timmy Riggins at quarterback, that's Bear Bachmeier. So I have BYU winning this game, and that's the last game that I put on here because we have a little bit of a bummer of a week. And now, granted, saying we have a bummer of a week during college football season is like it's still a top 15 week of the year. It's like saying this movie I really liked just wasn't as good as the movie I liked a little bit better. So, Nick, with that though, any other thoughts that you have? Anything that happened with the rankings? Anything that happened with the rest or the rest of the week we haven't talked about, or anything going into next week?
My final words will be: move Miami down. Move Miami down.
I'm gonna say. If we're going final words, I'm going to keep it the same boat. Move Miami under Georgia Tech, but then move Notre Dame even further down under Miami. So, very clear where we lie on those teams then, Nick. If you guys, aren't following the TikTok, the YouTube, all of that, make sure to follow. Trojan Bias on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. Nick is Nick Haskell with 4 L's. Will not forget that because I type that out every week when I edit these videos. And Nick, we need you to start posting videos.
I know.
You got to do it,
I need to get more active.
You need to get more active. I actually just posted a video. It's like, what's your hottest hot take? So start off there. Just stitch that and give me a hot take, and then we'll go from there. I'll give you I'll give you a shout out. So, yeah. Besides that, then we will see you guys next week and fight on.